What's up, guys? You might be wondering, why am I awkwardly crouched in my alley? Well, it's because we're about to talk about why I went from 33-inch tires on my 4Runner to 35s. And so, for those of you that have been here a while, you're probably saying, well, why'd you go from 33s that work really well to 35s? It seems excessive. Well, it was. Why did I do it? Because I wanted to, honestly speaking. This wasn't for the performance benefits of off-roading, because truth be told, if I wanted better performance, I probably would have gone with a skinny 35. Why I did this is because I wanted to. And that's part of the reason I wanted to make this video. There's a lot of people out there that are constantly asking, hey, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Sometimes you gotta do things for the sake of you wanting to do them. If it doesn't break your wallet, if it doesn't put you in debt, and if it's a creative idea, sometimes it's worth pursuing it on your own. However, while that is true, and the touchy-feely nature might be lost on some, it's important that you do things that you want to do, but also with the wisdom and knowledge that's available to you. And so, looking at these wheels, why would I go up a size realistically? Yeah, I wanted to, but I also wanted a wheel that would raise my truck up a little bit for ground clearance. The 33s were great, but I wanted something that would give me a little bit more clearance on trails, but also that would fill the wheel wells a little bit. With my half-inch body lift, with my lift in the front about 3 inches, rear 2 inches, I felt like the 33s were a little bit small. Keeping in mind, for a daily driver, 33s might be perfect for you. For me, I do a little bit more in the outdoors. I'm also running a channel, and I don't mind getting a little bit of extra publicity on the road and bringing attention to my vehicle for the sake of sponsorships, for the sake of just being a little bit different and out there. And so for me, it was a little bit of an eye catcher. That's kind of why I went for 35 by 12.5s over a skinny 255/80, for example. So there's that piece. Also, I wanted to move on from my KO2s. As you guys saw in the previous video, my KO2 review, my KO2s were not that great in rain and winter, and so I looked for the best tire I could find for rain and winter conditions, and that's when I found the Falken. And I thought to myself, well, I don't really want to get the same size. I don't really want to go 285/75 because I feel like that's too similar. I'm going to make a jump. And so I made a jump to 35 by 12.5. So it was logical in my eyes to do it. This is my truck. I work on it a lot. I know what's wrong with it. I know if I'm putting on bigger wheels, I have no components that are going to go. I keep uptake on everything. It's ready for it. So I asked myself, is this something I can financially afford? In terms of my own life, it was. But also, is this something that I'm okay with, putting the extra wear and tear on my vehicle? Do I have the money set aside? Do I have maybe the knowledge or the availability to fix something if it were to go wrong for running a heavier, bigger wheel? And my answer was yes, so it made sense to me. For you, I'd encourage you to ask these questions. Are you okay with chopping up your vehicle? Are you okay with getting frustrated that things are still rubbing after cutting them for the 100th time? Are you okay investing a little bit more for the potentially even the sake of just looking a little bit different or better? If you can confidently answer yes to those questions, maybe 35s might be for you. If not, I still think the 33 was the most economical, and maybe a 34 is a nice middle ground, but for me, these 35s made sense in my own life. And so, as it is with these decisions, we should probably talk about it. And I've been asked a lot of questions, and so I figured, what better than to have a little Q&A in the Q&A chair. So let's get started. All right, let's talk. And so with me here, guys, I have a bunch of questions that you have asked me about 35s. First one being, do I have to regear? No, I will not be regearing because I felt like the jump from stock to 33s was actually substantially worse than the jump from 33s to 35s. For the time being, I will not be regearing. The V8 does just fine. If you have a V6, you might want to second guess that. Second question, how much do I have to trim? A lot. You have to trim so much, it's ridiculous, like bumpers, fenders. I'm going to make a video on this, but you have to trim a lot. Be comfortable with cutting your truck, like I said before. You have to cut metal, you have to cut the body. You have to trim a lot. Yes. How heavy are they? Well, the Falken Wildpeaks that I have are about 71 pounds each corner, and the KMCs are probably just about over 27 pounds, so Almost 100 pounds of wheel, that's a lot when it comes to unsprung weight, and so you're jumping up a little bit in weight. That's where the wear and tear comes in the components. I can feel the weight a little bit, I'm going to be honest, but yeah, not too heavy. Jumping forward here, next question, how did it affect your miles per gallon? Kind of as I talked about when it came to the weight. More weight means when you're stopping and going, you have to push more weight, which means the engine has to work a little bit harder. It affected it a little bit. I'd probably say about 1 mpg. I also drive like an absolute grandma. My philosophy is now that my wheels are heavier, I can roll down hills and I don't have to use as much gas, so I've been really taking advantage of that. So hard to base it off of my calculations, but I'd probably say about 1 mpg down for now. Like I said before, a jump to 33s definitely was worse than the jump to 35s in terms of that. Next question here. Are you single? My mom and dad recently got separated and my mom's been watching a lot of your videos. Wild. Don't really want to answer that one. Next one here we have is, where did it go? Is would you do it again? If you could go back in time, would you still choose 35s? Absolutely, I would choose 35s. I have said this before, I wish I did it sooner, but I am glad that I didn't because I was stressed, guys. I was trying to figure this out forever. I was posting so much. Should I go to 35s? Should I do this wheel, this wheel, this wheel? I had to figure it out for myself. I'm glad that I took the time to do the research, to test fit some wheels, to look at different tire compounds, to reach out to people, to ask questions. If I could go back in time, I would probably choose 35s again without hesitation just because it's made a lot of sense for my rig. I love the way they look. But the only reason I'm saying that now is because I did the amount of research, so I was well prepared for when it did happen. And one more question here. Why did you pick the Falken Wildpeaks? Yeah, like I said before, the Falkens, I was considering a lot of different wheels. I really wanted the Falkens because they have great reviews when it comes to wet conditions and winter. I live in Alberta where there is so much snow. I do a lot of skiing, I do a lot of mountain stuff, and so I wanted a tire that can take me there in full confidence. After running the BFGs for a while, I realized that I will spend a little bit more if I have to, or less in terms of the Falkens, to get a better compound for winter. And so that's why I picked those. But anyways, guys, that is the end of our question period. Feel free to ask more if you want down below in the question box. But for now, that answers the question of why I went from 33-inch tires to 35-inch tires on my 4th Gen 4Runner. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you later.